Hi, I'm Dawn Taylor. This is for Communications 1103, informational speech. One morning, a little boy named Theo woke up and asked his mother, "Mom, what if there were no black people in the world?" His mom thought about it for a moment and then said, "Son, follow me around today and let's just see what it would be like if there were no black people in the world. Now go get dressed and we'll get started." Theo ran to his room to put on his clothes and shoes. His mother took one look at him and said, "Theo, where are your shoes?" "Son, I must iron your clothes. Why are they so wrinkled?" When she reached for the ironing board, it was no longer there. You see, Sarah Boone, a black woman, invented the ironing board, and Jenny Metzlicker, a black man, invented the shoe lasting machine. The shoe lasting machine is a machine that attaches the top of the shoe to the sole. "Oh, well," she said, "please go and do something with your hair." Theo ran in his room to comb his hair, but the comb was not there. You see, Walter Sammons, a black man, invented the comb. Theo decided to just brush his hair instead, but the brush was gone. Lydia O. Newman, a black female, invented the brush. Well, this was a sight. Theo had no shoes, wrinkled clothes, and his hair was a mess. Even his mom's hair was a mess because Madam C.J. Walker was one of the first African American female entrepreneurs, and she created many hair care products for women and black women. Mom told Theo, "Let's do our chores around the house and then take a trip to the grocery store." Theo's job was to sweep the floor. He swept and he swept and he swept. When he reached the dustpan, it was not there. You see, Lloyd P. Ray, a black man, invented the dustpan. So he swept the pile of dirt into the corner and he left it there. He then decided to mop the floor, but the mop was gone. You see, Thomas W. Stewart, a black man, invented the mop. Theo yelled to his mom, "Mom, I'm not having any luck." "Well, son," she said, "let me finish washing these clothes and we will prepare a list of groceries for the store." When the wash finished, she went to place the clothes in the dryer, but it was not there. You see, George T. Sampson, a black man, invented the clothes dryer. Mom asked Theo to get a pencil and some paper to prepare the list for the market. So Theo ran for the paper and pencil, but noticed that the pencil lead was broken. Well, he was out of luck because John Love, a black man, invented the pencil sharpener. Mom reached for a pen, but it was not there because William Purvis, a black man, invented the fountain pen. As a matter of fact, Lee Burridge, another black man, invented the typewriting machine, and W.A. Lovett, another black man, invented the advanced printing press. Theo and his mother decided to head to the market. Well, when Theo opened the door, he noticed the grass was almost 5 feet tall. You see, the lawnmower was invented by John Burr, a black man. They made their way over to the car and found that it wouldn't go. You see, Richard Spikes, a black man, invented the automatic gear shift, and Joseph Gamble invented the supercharged system for internal combustion engines. Without these, the car wouldn't work. Gamble was a black man. They noticed that the few cars that were moving were running into each other and having wrecks because there were no traffic signals. You see, Garrett A. Morgan, a black man, invented the traffic light. Well, it was getting late, so they walked to the market, got their groceries, and returned home. Just when they were about to put away the milk and eggs and butter, they noticed the refrigerator was gone. You see, John Stoddard, a black man, invented the refrigerator. So they just left the food on the counter. By this time, Theo noticed he was getting mighty cold. Mom went to turn up the heat. However, Alice Parker, a black female, invented the heating furnace. So they didn't have any heat. Even if it had been in the summertime, they would not have been in luck because Frederick Jones, a black man, invented the air conditioner. It was almost time for Theo's father to arrive home. He usually took the bus, but there was no bus because buses came from electric trolleys, which were invented by a black man, Elbert R. Robinson. He usually took the elevator from his office on the 20th floor, but there was no elevator because Alexander Miles, a black man, invented the elevator. He also usually dropped at the office mail at a near mailbox. But it was no longer there because Philip Downing, a black man, invented the letter drop mailbox. And William Berry, another black man, invented the postmarking and canceling machine, which is how we get our stamps. Theo and his mother sat at the kitchen table with their heads in their hands. When the father arrived, he asked, "Why are you sitting in the dark?" "Why?" "Because Lewis Howard Latimer, a black man, invented the filament within the light bulb, and without that filament, the light bulb won't turn on." Theo quickly learned what it would be like if there were no black people in the world. Daily life would be a lot more difficult. Not to mention, if he were ever sick and needed blood, Charles Drew, a black scientist, found a way to preserve and store blood, which led to starting the world's first blood bank. And what if a family member had to have heart surgery? This would not have been possible without Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, a black doctor who performed the first open heart surgery. You don't have to wonder, like Theo, that the world would be like without black people. It's clear life as we know it would be very, very different. Now, I would like to discuss with you Black History Month. Some of those items and things that I just mentioned in that poem are exactly why we celebrate Black History Month. It is something that we take for granted, I think, something that we don't talk about and discuss all the time. But I know often in the town that I'm in, I have people who are not black say, "Why do we need a Black History Month? Like, why don't we have certain other races, certain months in history for that?" Well, the thing is, in 1926, Carter G. Woodson, who was a historian and an author and a teacher and a professor and a lot of other things, he had a passion for people to know about the contributions, just like in that poem, that were made by Black Americans to our society and to our world. He belonged to a society that was for historians, but he wasn't allowed to go to any of the meetings or any of the conferences because it was for white people. Even though he paid his dues, they wouldn't let him come and participate. That frustrated him. So first he created his own society that studied the lives of Negro Americans. At that time, that's what black people were called. So he did that at first, and then his passion for people just being able to study and understand all the contributions, not only the rest of the world, but also Black Americans to understand like the contributions that other Black Americans have made to our society. He created the Negro History Week. And he put that week, and people often talk about why is it in February? He put that week between Frederick Douglass's birthday and Abraham Lincoln's birthday, which is the second week of February, because of who those two individuals are in history. So that's why he first made it that week. And then in 1976, they turned it into a full month that we celebrate. So we celebrate from February 1st to March 1st. The Negro History Week was, like I said, to promote the teaching of Black Americans' contributions to our society. Why do we need to learn about Black Americans' contributions to our society? Well, one, because it diversifies your learning. Therefore, when it diversifies your learning, you can only grow from that. You can only get better in life when you have more knowledge of something. Also, there has been systemic things that have been created to suppress, ignore, and contain what information we have about Black Americans in our society. There are groups who have written most of the textbooks that are in the South, the Mid-South, Midwest areas of that nature, and they still are existing in some schools today. And in those textbooks, they have kind of rewritten history a bit. They've taken their, rights of changing the way the story of like Civil War plays out, the way slavery plays out, the way other things play out. And you can imagine there's no list of just other contributions and other things that Black Americans have done in there at all. Because the Black American history is a lot more than slavery. It's a lot more, as you can tell from that poem, that individuals have contributed to our world and our society. That's, like I said, still happening today. It wasn't just something that happened because of slavery or during Reconstruction era or something of that nature. It's not old. Matter of fact, here in Oklahoma, they have recently passed a bill called House Bill 1775, and it prevents from the studies between K and kindergarten and 12th, for the schools to teach anything about an individual by virtue of his or her race or sex inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, and it bears responsibility for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race or sex. And the purpose of this is known as a guilt-free education. They have created this bill to say that you cannot teach anything about someone's race or sex that will cause those people in that certain race or sex or others to feel guilt about, or pressure, or marginalized, or upset about anything that was being taught. Now, that might kind of sound like a good thing when they passed the bill. The politicians who were for it made it sound like it was just to keep us all connected and all together. But in reality, what it does is it keeps us from being able to teach things like the Tulsa Rice riots, or certain events that have happened in society, or certain things that have happened to people who are Black. So again, the reason for Black history is for them to be able to, for all of us to be able to celebrate and learn and highlight contributions that were made by Black Americans to the society. So little Theo was pretty astute in his assumption of, or his alluding to the question of, what would our world be like if there were no Black people? Because imagine if you started to unravel that thread. That's something that's woven to the fabric of America. It would be devastatingly impossible to disconnect what Black people have brought to our society from the rest of society. Thank you.